With regard to Vipassana meditation, there are 7 stages of purity. Today we have to listen the early stages of purity in the practice of meditation. First, purity, sīla-visuddhi, purity of moral conduct. Citta-visuddhi, purity of mind. Ditthi-visuddhi, purity of view. Kankha-vitarana-visuddhi, purity of overcoming doubt. Maggamagga-ñanadassana-visuddhi, purity of knowledge and vision as to what is the right path and what is not the right path. Patipada-ñanadassana-visuddhi, purity of the practice. Ñanadassana-visuddhi, purity by knowledge and wisdom. Today we have to listen the early stages of purity. But these first and second stages of purities are actually not Vipassana. They are the basis for the practice of Vipassana, and so they are included in the 7 stages of purity for Vipassana meditation. The first stage of purity is the purity of moral conduct. Purity of moral conduct is very important for yogis who practice meditation. Because without the purity of moral conduct, they cannot hope to get concentration. Purity of moral conduct means just keeping the moral conduct pure. In daily life, you observe 5 precepts, you abstain from killing, you abstain from stealing, you abstain from sexual misconduct, you abstain from daily lies and taking intoxicant. And these precepts, although they are taught in Buddhism, are not particularly for Buddhists. Because according to our books, they were available even before the time of our Lord Buddha. And many people mentioned in the Jataka story kept these precepts. Not only 5 precepts, they also kept 8 precepts or even 10 precepts. But for lay people, 5 precepts is enough. I mean, keeping 5 precepts is enough for the purifications of your moral conduct. So if meditators take 5 precepts, then their moral conduct is said to be pure. But at the longer retreat, yogi the meditators have to take and keep 8 precepts. That is because taking 8 precepts is better than keeping 5 precepts. By taking 8 precepts, meditators get more time to devote to the practice of meditation. And also, there is less chance for unwholesome mental state to arise. So it is better for the yogis to take 8 precepts during the longer retreats. It is important that those who practice meditation should first purify in their sīla. Now the question is, how long must a yogi be pure in moral conduct before he or she can practice vipassana meditation? So when you study the story in the Buddhist book, you come to the conclusion that it is not necessary for the yogi to be pure in moral conduct for a long time, because he or she takes up vipassana meditation. You know the story of well-known robber Angulimala. Angulimala was a robber, and not only a robber, but he was a serial killer. So Angulimala killed many human beings, but one day Buddha went to him and tamed him. So first, he became a monk and then practiced meditation, and then he became enlightened. In his case, his moral conduct was not pure for a long time. When he was in the forest, killing people to collect the fingers. But after he met the Buddha, he gave up all these unwholesome actions, and he became a monk and practiced meditation, and then he got enlightenment. So it is not necessary for a person to be pure moral conduct for a long time before he or she practice vipassana meditation. But it is good to keep your moral conduct pure always. We are not encouraging you to be impure in moral conduct and then just purify before practicing meditation. To keep moral conduct pure always is good. And we need to understand that purity of moral conduct means purity in the moral habits when you practice vipassana meditation. Because if you keep your moral conduct pure, you do not suffer from remorseful feeling or regrets. Your mind is calm, and so you can get concentration easily. Since purity of moral conduct is important, you take the precepts at the beginning of this retreat. By taking these precepts and also by keeping them, you are affirmed that your moral conduct is pure, and you don't have to worry about whether your moral conduct is pure or not. So you can practice meditation without concern or without worry. about the purity of your moral conduct, sila. When there is no worry, when there is no anxiety about the moral conduct, because your moral conduct is pure, you can practice meditation with calmness. The first purity yogis have to achieve is the purity of moral conduct. And this purity of moral conduct is not yet meditation. It is just sila or taking precepts and keeping them. But it is a firm basic for the practice of meditation. That is why the purity of moral conduct is included in the 7 stages of purity in Vipassana meditation. A second stage of purity is citta-visuddhi, purity of mind. Purity of mind is interpreted as meaning the attainment of neighborhood concentration, upachara samadhi, and jhana concentration, jhana samadhi. In order to attain neighborhood concentration and jhana concentration, you have to practice samatha meditation. There are 2 kinds of meditation taught in Buddhism, samatha meditation and vipassana meditation, or tranquility meditation and insight meditation. You can get neighborhood concentration and jhana concentration only when you practice samatha meditation. There are 40 subjects of samatha meditation. Among them, only 30 subjects can lead you to the attainment of jhanas. But all 40 can lead you to attainment of neighborhood concentration. Neighborhood concentration precedes the jhana concentration. Without upachara samadhi, neighborhood concentration, there can be no attainment of jhana concentration, jhana samadhi. In order to get these 2 kinds of concentration, a person practice one of the 40 subjects of samatha meditation. Neighborhood concentration is so called because it is in the neighborhood of jhana concentration. According to this interpretation, in order to get purity of mind, a person has to practice samatha meditation. And later, after attaining the neighborhood concentration or jhana concentration, that yogi will proceed to vipassana, or yogi will change to vipassana. When you change to vipassana, you will take the neighborhood concentration or jhana concentration as the object of your meditation. In other words, Yogi will practice vipassana on the neighborhood concentration or jhana concentration. Yogi will try to see the neighborhood concentration or jhana concentration as impermanence, as suffering, and as no soul. This is for those who practice samatha meditation first and then change to vipassana meditation. Such people are called samatha-yanika. That means those who have samatha meditation as vehicle. We can call them samatha passengers. They are those who took the samatha train and then reached neighborhood concentration or jhana concentration. And then they change to vipassana train and get on it and reach their destination of nirvana. When we call a person samatha yanika or a person who has samatha as vehicle, we do not mean that he practiced samatha meditation only and reached that destination, because he cannot reach this destination without the practice of vipassana meditation. So a samatha yanika is one who first practice samatha meditation, who gets the neighborhood concentration or jhana concentration, and then practice vipassana on these two kinds or any one of these concentration, and ultimately reach his destination. How about yogis in the retreat? We do not practice samatha meditation. So do not get neighborhood concentration or jhana concentration. Since neighborhood concentration and jhana concentration are described as the purity of mind, how are we to get purity of mind without neighborhood concentration and jhana concentration? Can we skip from purity of sila and go to purity of view, sīla-visuddhi, to ditthi-visuddhi? That is impossible, because these stages are to be attained one by one in their due order. So, yogis who practice vipassana meditation only actually do not skip the second stage of purity of mind. Purity of mind means actually the purity of concentration or samadhi. Those who practice vipassana only also need to get a certain kinds of concentration, because without concentration, yogi cannot penetrate into the true nature of things. And Buddha said, Samadhiṃ bhikkhuve bhaveta samadhito yata bhutam pajanati. Bhikkhus practice concentration, develop concentration. And when the mind is developed, then you begin to see things as they really are. In order to see things, in order to see nama-rupa as they really are, in order to see nama-rupa as impermanence and so on, we need a certain kinds of concentration. But since we do not practice samatha meditation, we do not get neighborhood concentration or jhana concentration. But we get another kinds of concentration when we practice vipassana. What concentration? When we practice vipassana, we get khanika samadhi, momentary concentration. So yogi who practice vipassana only substitute momentary concentration for the neighborhood concentration or jhana concentration. So for those who practice vipassana only, momentary concentration is called purity of mind. When a yogi attains the momentary concentration, he is said to have achieved the second stage of purity, purity of mind. When does a yogi attain momentary concentration? In the beginning, the yogi practices vipassana and he or she tries to be mindful of the object, mindful of the breathings, mindful of the movements of the abdomen, rising and falling, and mindful of any object that becomes prominent at the present moment. But try as he might, his mind goes out here and there, and it is the normal experience of all meditators. Although they try to keep their mind on the object of meditation, sometimes or maybe frequently the mind goes here and there. But with practice, with perseverance, you try to be mindful of the object at the present moment. And as your mindfulness grows in intensity, your mind begins to become still and your mind becomes steadfast on the object of meditation. That means the wanderings or distraction become less and less. And the time will come when your mind is on the meditation object only. And your mind does not go to any other objects. When a yogi has reached such a state, when yogi has attained that kinds of concentration, when he is said to have achieved the second stage of purity, or purity of mind, citta-visuddhi. Although it is called momentary concentration, it is similar to upachara samadhi, neighborhood concentration. When a yogi who practices samatha meditation gets neighborhood concentration and his mind is on the meditation object only, and it is not distracted. At that time, the obstacle or mental hindrances all are subdued. Although mental hindrances, nivarana, are not eradicated, not got rid of altogether, they are subdued, and so they do not come up to the surface. At that time, his concentration is very strong and good, and he is always on the meditation object. In the same way, during vipassana meditation, when you get momentary concentration, your mind is always on the object of vipassana meditation. One moment of concentration is followed by another moment of concentration, and then followed by another moment of concentration. There are no gaps between moments of concentration, and there are no interruption in your flow of concentration. The difference between the neighborhood concentration and momentary concentration is that neighborhood concentration dwells on one object only, on the chosen meditation object. But momentary concentration may take different objects at different moments. So the objects may be different, but concentration is always there. Concentration on the rising of the abdomen, concentration of the falling of the abdomen, concentration of the pain, etc. Although the objects may be different, rising, falling, or pleasant, unpleasant sensation, objects may be different from moment to moment. Your mindfulness or your concentration is always there. It is not interrupted by distraction. By mind going out. So it is as powerful as the neighborhood concentration. At that time, again, the mental hindrances, sensual desire, evil, sloth and torpor, restlessness and remorse and skeptical doubt are subdued. When your mind is purified, it is responsive, it is tender, it is exultant. Your mind rejoices greatly, your mind is pure because all mental hindrances are subdued. When yogi gets momentary concentration, your mind becomes steady, calm, and then begins to see the objects clearly. In the beginning, you may think that you see the objects clearly. You put your mind on the breath and you think that you see the breaths clearly, in and out, in and out. Or you see the movements of the abdomen rising and falling clearly, rising, falling, rising, falling. But as your mindfulness and concentration gets stronger, you see more clearly. So with the attainment of momentary concentration, your seeing of the objects become more and more clear. The objects appear to you more and more clearly. And whatever objects you keep your mind on, you see it in your mind clearly. Clearly means without mixing with other objects. In the beginning, sometimes even mind and matter are mixed together. You do not see clearly mind and matter separately, and they may appear to you mixed up. But with the growth of concentration, you begin to see mind clearly and matter clearly. And you begin to see that mind and matter as a pair arise and disappear. When you see mind and matter clearly, you come to see as if there were 2 or 3 people. Formerly, Yogi may think that he was just one person. Now Yogi is 2% or 3%, rising and knowing, rising of the abdomen and knowing of the rising, falling of the abdomen and knowing of the abdomen. So you see 2 or 3%. That is because Yogi is seeing mind and matter clearly in his mind. So there is the matter which is noted, and then the mind which notes, and then the mind which is aware of that noting mind. So something like 3 things going on. When you see in such a way, you are said to see mind and matter distantly one from the other. That is what is called the discerning of mind and matter, or differentiation of mind and matter, which is the first vipassana knowledge. When a person reaches the first vipassana knowledge, he is able to discard the wrong view of a person or an individual or a self. Because what he sees for himself are just mind and matter arising and disappearing, or going and coming as a pair. A yogi fails to see anything over and above mind and matter, nama and rupa at every moment. When yogi sees just mind and matter at every moment, you lose the wrong view that there is a person, there is an individual, and there is a permanent entity. So yogi is able to discard the wrong view regarding the personality, regarding yourself. That is the third stage of purity reached by those yogis who practice vipassana meditation. Actually, the third stage is the domain of vipassana. But even the stage, strictly speaking, is not the vipassana proper. In order to understand that, you need to know the meaning of the word vipassana. Vipassana means seeing in various ways. See in various ways means see mind and matter as impermanence, suffering, and no soul. That understanding you get only after you go through another stage. A stage where you see things related as cause and effect. After seeing things as related as cause and effect, after seeing that everything is conditioned, then a yogi comes to see the objects arising and disappearing clearly. So yogi is convinced that the objects are impermanent, and when you see the impermanence of objects, you also see the suffering nature or unsatisfactory nature. When you see the unsatisfactory nature, then you also see the impersonal nature or unsubstantial nature of nama-rupa. Actually, vipassana begins with that see mind and matter as impermanent, suffering, and non-self. Before that, there are two stages. These two stages are two kinds of knowledge. These two kinds of knowledge are also called vipassana knowledge because they proceed towards vipassana. Although they are not yet strictly vipassana, they are proceeding towards vipassana. So they are included in vipassana knowledges. But before we reach the stage, we practice vipassana again. That is very rudimentary vipassana, very fundamental vipassana. That is, before we get momentary concentration, stay we practice vipassana and not samatha meditation. So yogi gets momentary concentration, and then you proceed from there until you reach your destination. These are the first three stages of purity yogi must go through. What is the first one? The first one is purity of sila. That is not actually meditation. Second one is the purity of mind, citta-visuddhi. That means you attain samadhi, either nirvahud samadhi or jhana samadhi. On the other hand, or momentary samadhi, khanika samadhi on the other. After that, you reach the stage where you discern mind and matter clearly. When you discern mind and matter clearly, when you see that they are only mind and matter arising and disappearing at every moment, you are able to discard the wrong view about personality or wrong view about a person or an individual or a permanent soul. So these are the three early stages in vipassana meditation. We need to remember just these three stages. Among the 7 stages of purity, first, sīla-visuddhi, purity of moral conduct, citta-visuddhi, purity of mind, and ditthi-visuddhi, purity of views. So we have to purify according to these stages. sīla-visuddhi, citta-visuddhi, ditthi-visuddhi, etc. So we have to practice continuously and precisely. May you practice well. May you practice diligently. By practicing vipassana meditation, by observing every phenomena occurring at the six senses, by noting rising, falling, sitting, touching, standing, walking, seeing, hearing, smelling, etc., continuously and meticulously to the best of your ability. May all yogis be liberated from all suffering. May all yogis realize the real peace in the very near future. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.